Hi writers, this week we're going to talk about writing dialogue for deceptive characters. Think of that classic police interview when they say we're going to put them in the box and sweat them. That is really good. You can easily write an angry cop, but writing the deceptive person, this is in that interview or any time you want to write someone who is being deceptive, can't be trusted, and rather than just have them outright lie, there's certain things that people do that we pick up. We pick it up inherently. But this is going to go back to when I was like working in Intel, and I've sat in quite a few interviews with law enforcement guys and investigators where they're interviewing people, and you learn this stuff. And I've done a little bit of training in it too. So for me, this is like a bit like going home. So I've got my notes down here. So when you're writing a deceptive character, they will preload, especially let's say you're making the classic, in America, over here it's 000, in America it'd be a 911 call. They preload an alibi, or as soon as they contact or come in contact with somebody, they want to preload their alibi. They want to get it all the way out. And you'll hear this in 911 calls. Emergency services calls, we'll say. Person rings up and goes, "Oh, hi, I've just got home and my husband's been killed. I'd gone out for the evening to my friend's Jan's, and we've gone out, we've done some shopping, and I've come home and I found him shot." Preloading the alibi. And you'll hear this a lot. Well, a normal conversation would be, "Hi, I've got home, I need the police, I need an ambulance right now, my husband's been shot. Where's your address?" "Oh, it's 27 Sample Street, make-believe town. You've got to get here. What do I do? And is he still bleeding? I'll check," all that stuff. You never preload an alibi unless you're trying to preload an alibi. So someone who does that, definitely deceptive, guilty person. The other one, and you'll see this a lot, and it's a little bit obvious, it doesn't really bear mentioning, is repeating the question to give yourself space to lie. So where were you last night? Where was I last night? Quick answer. Where was I last night? Shit, They'll repeat the question. Or, where were you last night? Where was I last night? I can't believe you're asking that. More space. They keep repeating what you're saying and they're not answering it, or they answer what's being implied, which is another thing a deceptive person does. They'll turn it back on you. Where were you last night? I can't believe you're asking me that. What do you think was happening? Because I wasn't here, something was happening? Why would you ask me that? Put it back on you, not answer the question. There's deflection as well. Where were you last night? I think the better question is, why are you even asking that? Have you got a problem? Deflect, push it one side, put it back on you, put the burden of proof back on the person who asked the question. Anything to stay away from the question. We're not going to go across the acting things, like people that are really lying will really stare at you and make sure that you're listening to them and making sure that you understand they're telling the truth. Some people will look away if they feel shame in their answer, but that's all acting. That's not writing. We can put it in a little bit, he looks away, ashamed, one line. They will scoff at the accusation, which is what we've sort of done. Yeah, you're the murderer. I'm the murderer. Yeah, sure. Dismiss. You're not worth my time. I'm not going to answer that. More time to think. They will also over-answer a question because they don't know what their normal response should be. So there was a mushroom murder here in Australia recently. This lady was found guilty of poisoning her, or trying to poison her ex-husband and some family members using poison mushrooms, death caps. And she would overshare her answer. And the classic one, you can actually go watch her interview footage. It's everywhere. And the policeman said, "Why did you invite them to dinner?" And she didn't say, "Well, I hadn't seen everyone for a while. We try to stay in touch. So it was just, I decided to invite everyone for dinner." Or, her excuse was, in the end, she reckons she had an adverse medical diagnosis and she wanted their help in how she was going to tell the kids that she may be dying, which turned out not to be true. So why did you invite them for dinner? She goes, well, my parents are dead and they're the only grandkids my children have, and I've always got on really good with them. And when I broke up with my husband, they've always been so supportive, and they've said that I'm allowed. She didn't answer the question. You know, why did you invite them to dinner? All this resume statements about their relationship and how great it was, and how, so therefore you couldn't possibly think I would be poisoning them with mushrooms, because they're fantastic people. They love me, I love them. I'm such a nice person. I'm such a nice person that my ex-in-laws still love me. All that huge resume stuff. Quick thank you to everyone who's been doing this. That's amazing. If you could be so kind to subscribe. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, and YouTube takes this seriously. If you haven't been getting these videos as often as I put them out every week, unsubscribe, resubscribe, hit the bell. I think YouTube has decided to punish people. I've heard a lot of creators say this, and I've been getting like really low stats. Don't know why. Thank you for everyone who's been doing comments and likes. All that spreads it. If you want to share it, you can hit the copy, all these sorts of things. And it's so appreciated. And conversations, ask questions, answer each other's questions. This is a great little thing, because for the ones of us who want to write screenplays and TV, that's what we're trying to do. Thank you. The other thing is what they'll do as well is they try to make friends with the person. They will ask that person for their opinion. So, why did you kill them? I don't know how I got myself in this situation. What would you do? You're being accused of murder. I don't know what to do here. You're asking me something that I can't answer. I don't know what you want. They try to sort of say, well, you're the person in charge. Please help me. This is something that isn't me. So those are the things, the 5 things. Let's run through them real quick. They'll preload their alibi. They'll tell you, oh, well, I was out shopping and then when I come home, this was it. So all the alibi's out there already before they're even asked. They overshare. They make space to think, what, me? You're asking me why I would do that? They don't answer. They'll scoff, but not deny. So, where were you last night? Where was I last? Oh, I can't believe you asked. You know where I am. You do this all the time. 4, they'll reaccuse. They will come up and turn it around, make you justify you asking them. And the other one is that they'll over-answer, like the lady with the mushrooms, where they start going back in, they make resume statements. They get them to do that, or they keep going and they keep answering and answering and answering and answering and answering and hoping that you'll start nodding along, and then suddenly you'll go, oh, that's enough. I understand now. That's great. Thank you for all that. So there's the 5 things when you're writing a deceptive character. Most of it comes from panic. Most of it comes from uncertainty. And they're trying to find out what the other person knows as well. So if you're going to have a police character, have them not divulge too much. Have them ask questions. And another good question, if you've got that police type character, a good question that good investigators ask is they will ask a question about something they might not have. It's a murder scene. So they'll look at the person and go, and this implies that they know. They'll look at the person and go, is there any reason why your DNA would be there? How do you answer that? It's a bit like, well, when did you stop hitting your wife? If you start making excuses, oh, well, I have been there. Maybe it's transfer, maybe it's this. You just go, no, there's no reason for my DNA to be there. And well, what about when we do find it? I'll say, well, you've got the scientist, you figure it out. There's no reason for my DNA to be there. Those are the sort of conversations. Quick plug for the books. Tools Not Rules unlocks everything in your brain, gives you the tools to solve things. Doesn't tell you what to write, doesn't tell you a structure. This is first, that is second. This is like, oh, I don't know what my world is like. There's a tool in there for that. I want to figure out how they really think about each other. I spoke in the last video about the oppositional matrix. This is a quick lesson where you had protagonist, antagonist, antagonist. So it's what does the antagonist think of themselves? What does the protagonist think of themselves? What does the antagonist think of the protagonist? What does the protagonist think of the antagonist? That gives you a quick understanding of their relationship and then how they're going to act about each other. If the antagonist really trusts the protagonist, like I know him, I can predict what he's going to do, that will inform them. The other one, it's worth thinking about, and go research these, buy the book, it's really cheap, but the other thing you want to look at maybe all round is an empathy matrix. So what has your character done about these things in the past? What has your character said about these issues in the past? What has your character seen involving issues? What have they experienced? Is this good for them? Is it bad for them? And in that way you understand. So their town gets invaded by Norman Vikings, or I don't know. What have they said about these people in the past? What have they seen about these people? What actions have they taken before about these people? Is this going to be good for them? Is this going to be bad for them? What do they feel about these people? Once you get those things, you understand what the person's all about. These are the sorts of tools, and tools, not rules. And then there is the obvious one, logline. We all have trouble writing log lines. This gives you some patterns and tells you how to think about log lines, how to get things like stuck in the first act, which is a common fault in many log lines. People get there and describe how the aliens came down, it's fantastic, and then they will have 3 words. He must defend the planet. Well, that's the entire movie right there in 3 words, isn't it? And you've blown the rest of the log line in this obsession with your opening shot. So log line. 20% off writerduet. Nearly forgot I've done that so many times. 20% off writerduet. I get nothing for this. This is all for you from writerduet straight to you via me. Okay, guys. I hope this has helped. And until next time, as always, keep writing. Bye.